The most dangerous thing you'll ever do isn't crime. It's not betrayal. It's not violence. It's waking up every day doing absolutely nothing about your potential and convincing yourself that's okay. It's going weeks without challenge, months without growth, years without change. It's sitting on everything you could become because no one forced you to become it. You didn't fall, you didn't fight, you just drifted. And the worst part, you didn't even notice. That's the quiet tragedy. Most people don't crash, they coast. They slowly rot inside routines that never challenge them. They wake up one day a ghost in their own life, not because of what they did, but because of what they never did. The most dangerous thing you'll ever do is nothing. And most of the world is doing exactly that. Doing nothing feels safe. It feels like avoiding mistakes. But in reality, it's the one move that guarantees regret. The one move that always takes more than it gives. The one move that steals your life in slow motion. You avoid the pain of failure, but you accept the pain of watching your life shrink. You avoid discomfort, but you accept powerlessness. You avoid embarrassment, but you accept invisibility. Doing nothing isn't peace, it's sedation. You don't realize it at first. You just feel a little bored, a little stuck, a little dull. So you scroll, you snack, you sleep more than you should. You surround yourself with distractions so you never have to face what you're avoiding. But deep down, a part of you is screaming, move, speak, act, begin. And every time you ignore that voice, you lose a little more of yourself. Not all at once, bit by bit, choice by choice, day by day. You think you're standing still? You're not. You're sinking. Because doing nothing isn't neutral, it's a decision. And every time you make that decision, it becomes easier to make it again. Eventually, it becomes your identity. You stop trying, you stop aiming higher, you stop seeing yourself as someone capable of change. You become a background character in your own story. You think, I'll start tomorrow. You think, now's not the time. You tell yourself, I need to be ready, but you never are. And that's the trap. The more you wait, the heavier it becomes. The more you hesitate, the more momentum you lose. And one day you wake up tired, not because you did too much, but because you did too little for too long. A body without movement becomes stiff. A mind without challenge becomes dull. A life without motion becomes meaningless. So ask yourself, right now, what have you been avoiding? What fire have you let burn out? What have you convinced yourself is too late when it really just needs to begin? Because whatever that is, it's still waiting for you, still possible, still alive under all the fear and delay and excuses, but only if you do the one thing most people refuse to do. Move, not tomorrow, now. Even if it's small, even if it's awkward, even if it's imperfect, because imperfect action is always better than perfect stillness. And once you start, everything changes. You stop drifting, you stop doubting, you stop hiding, you start building. Building belief, building strength, building clarity. Not because someone handed it to you, but because you earned it. With motion, with decision, with fire. That fire never comes from thinking, it comes from doing. The more you move, the more real you become to yourself. The more effort you apply, the more you believe you're worth something. You stop looking for signs. You become the signal. You stop asking for permission. You give it to yourself. This is where most people lose. They wait for clarity before they act. But the truth is, clarity only comes from motion. You don't think your way into a new life. You move your way into it. And in that motion, you find focus. You find energy. You find discipline. Not in grand declarations, but in small decisions. The decision to show up, to speak when you want to stay silent, to start even when you don't know how it ends, to go anyway. Most people waste years waiting to feel ready, but ready is a myth. The people who change their lives are not the ones who feel ready. They are the ones who act anyway. And every day you do nothing, you widen the gap. The gap between who you are and who you could be. The gap between the life you have and the one you were built for. That gap doesn't shrink on its own. You either move toward it or it swallows you. So take the step. Speak the truth, start the thing, write the page, hit the gym, quit the excuse, cut the distraction, claim the life. Because the longer you sit still, the harder it gets. Stillness feeds doubt. Doubt feeds delay. Delay becomes decay. And decay is hard to reverse. You don't need to change the world today. You just need to prove to yourself that you're not done yet. One step, one representative, one page, one push. That's how the fire starts again. Doing nothing is easy, but it robs you. It robs you of momentum, of confidence, of passion, of identity. It doesn't take everything at once. It just dulls you a little at a time, until one day, you don't even feel the difference between existing and living. That's the danger, not pain, not pressure, not failure, but numbness. That's what stillness gives you. A quiet, painless, comfortable slide into nothing. You get used to not caring. You get used to not changing. You get used to not growing. You start calling it normal. But it's not normal. It's just common. And common isn't the goal. Excellence is. Growth is. Impact is. And you don't get those by doing nothing. You earn them in the moments most people skip. The moments where it would be easier to stay soft, to stay safe, to stay still. But you don't. You choose fire. You choose motion. You choose the hard way on purpose. Because you know what it costs to do nothing. And you are done paying that price. You have already wasted enough time second-guessing yourself. You have sat on the sidelines of your own life long enough. No more. You wake up today and make a decision. A real one. Not a maybe. Not a wish. A line in the sand decision. That from now on, you don't wait. You move. You don't need approval. You don't need permission. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to remember who you are and what you were made for. You were made for depth, for fire, for movement, for change, for leadership, for impact. And none of those things are born from doing nothing. They are born from the tension of discomfort, from failing forward, from sacrificing short-term comfort for long-term greatness. You already have everything you need to begin. You just forgot. You forgot because comfort made you soft, distraction made you dull, stillness made you small. But that's not the real you. The real you is dangerous when focused, unstoppable when disciplined, lethal when committed. The real you has been buried under softness, waiting for the right moment. But this is the moment. Not later, not next week. Now. Because every second you hesitate, someone else is taking the opportunity you ignored. Someone else is chasing the goal you shelved. Someone else is becoming what you refused to become. You are not here to observe. You are here to dominate. This world doesn't need another passive spectator. It needs you sharp. It needs you ready. It needs you relentless. Every day is a chance to prove to yourself that you are not finished, that the old version of you is dead, that from now on, you are the kind of person who moves, who acts, who speaks, who risks, who leads. It starts now. You set the alarm and get up when it hurts. You speak your mind when it shakes. You do the hard thing before it feels safe. You take control before the world tells you how to live. Because doing nothing has cost you too much, and you are not willing to pay that price anymore. You are done being comfortable, done being casual, done being forgettable. You are here to burn, to build, to evolve, to lead. And it begins the moment you choose to move. The most dangerous thing you will ever do is nothing. So do something every day, no matter what, and never stop. Because once you start, you become the one thing this world cannot silence. You become dangerous.